Oma Gyan Timidandasya Ginangana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Jena Tasmai Si Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Padanti Sva Padantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Shri Bhagavan Nrsimhadeva ki. I'm very honored to be here this evening. Thank you to the organizers for inviting me. I was very happy to walk into the kirtan of Radhika Ranjana. As many of you know, he's one of the foremost kirtan singers in our movement. Also, he speaks so sweetly about the holy names, and I've seen various parts of the world, when he comes, people become very attracted to this process of kirtan. So he's still young, and he's got a whole future ahead of him. So you're going to see many wonderful things coming from his service to the Sankirtan movement. And I just love being with him when he's doing kirtan. I could just sit and not sing and just listen. He's so wonderful. So it's good to do a duet here. So of course, as many of you know, most of you know, we're celebrating the appearance day of Lord Nrsimhadeva, who's a very popular deity in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And I assume that most of you, or all of you, have heard his glories this morning, the beginning of the day. Either you went to a temple and you heard someone speak Bhagavatam about Narsimha Bhagavan from the 7th canto, or maybe you were online. So I won't give a long talk about Lord Nrsimhadeva, but I'd like to spend a few minutes focusing on the actual moment that he appeared. Because that moment is upon us now. If you study carefully the Bhagavatam, you know that Nrsimhadeva, he appeared at twilight. It was neither day nor night. It was twilight, and now it's twilight. So we're approaching, on this auspicious day, the moment, that special moment. And of course, that moment, we know that he appeared in a very interesting way. Krishna also always appears in quite interesting ways in this world. 5,000 years ago, he appeared in the jailhouse of Kamsa. His mother, Vasudeva and Devaki, had been imprisoned by Kamsa. So they gave birth to child Krishna there. Of course, Vasudeva took him from the prison across the Jamuna to Gokul, and he began his babyhood pastimes as Damodar. So our Lord Nrsimhadeva, he's Krishna when Krishna gets angry. We want to develop a loving relationship with the Lord, like the Brajbasis. But who's Nrsimhadeva? He's Krishna when Krishna gets really angry. Not angry at us, but angry at the Asuras, especially when the Asuras disturb Krishna's devotees. If you think about it, Lord Nrsimhadeva came to protect his devotee Prahlad, and then he went back home. He left Vaikuntha solely for the purpose of delivering his devotee, Prahlad Maharaj. And just after that, he was flying back to the spiritual world. He passed over Navadvip, Mayapur Dham, and he realized that in the Kali Yuga, I'm going to come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he took a few moments to come down to Navadvip. And the devotees, when they saw that Narasimha was taking a break from his flight back to Vaikuntha, he's going to come to Navadvip, they came and they created a lake. So he could rest on the lake and take a bath. That lake still exists. That little place is called Nrsimha. It's about a 45-minute drive from our Mayapur community. So next time you go to Mayapur, you say, I want to go to Nrsimha and take bath in the lake. Beautiful deity there from Satya Yuga. So he came to save one devotee. This is how kind the Lord is. And this form of Nrsimhadeva coming out of the pillar at this moment, just envision, this is the time when this is the best part of the day, his appearance day. This is when he came out of the pillars, this most ferocious form. And that form of Narasimha, breaking the pillar, where's Hiranyakashipu? That form is actually meant to be worshipped only by those in the renounced order. And that form you actually see in Mayapur. We have our Narsingh Bhagavan in Mayapur. And the devotees chose that form to protect our Mayapur community, to protect the whole world of devotees actually. But technically speaking, that form of the Lord coming out of the pillar is meant to be worshipped just by the renunciates. Because in that mood, Narsimha takes everything away. So that's good for sannyasis. Sannyasis are in the renounced order of life, so that they have the strength to preach Krishna consciousness. So that form is worshipped by the renunciates. Just like Narsimha went on to take everything away from his opponent, Hiranyakashipu. He had to experience that. It means that Narasimha, he took away the demon's material body, but also took away his subtle body, the mind, intelligence, and the ego, which reside in the heart, where all the material desires are accumulated. One time Prabhupada, he said to us in Geneva, he said, if I reveal to you, my dear students, how many material desires you have in your heart right now, you'd probably faint. But don't get discouraged. You can purify all those desires by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. So that's the blissful way of getting freed of these material attachments and then awakening our love for Krishna. Hiranyakashipu, he had to have a heart operation. He's the original heart operation. But by Nrsimhadeva taking his hot claws and taking out the heart of Hiranyakashipu, later he took out his intestines, started with his heart, and he took the heart out and he threw it to the other side of the assembly hall. And this signifies not just the organ, the heart, but the desires that were there in the heart of Hiranyakashipu. That's why he was able to achieve mukti, or liberation. Actually, Hiranyakashipu is one of the greatest asuras that's ever appeared. He later became Ravana. He got a new name, Ravana. And Ravana, that name is very interesting. It means he who makes the universe scream by his audacious activities, especially in offending the Vaishnavas, the devotees. So in his birth as Hiranyakashipu, he achieved moksha because the Lord was so kind. With his hot claws, he took out the heart and threw it and took away all his material desires. And how do we know that he achieved liberation? How do we know that Hiranyakashipu achieved liberation? Because later on in the Bhagavatam, after all was said and done, Nrsimhadeva asked Prahlad, his dear devotee, this great Mahajan, one of the 12 authorities in the science of Krishna consciousness. The Lord likes to give benedictions to his devotees because he knows that those devotees will use their benedictions in their service. So Nrsimhadeva said, Prahlad, I'd like to offer you a benediction. Can you imagine? The Lord of all that be can give you a blessing. Someone might think, well, I'll ask for unlimited amount of money or fame or a beautiful wife or a husband or a palace. No. Devotees just want things by which they can serve the Lord better. And Vaishnavas are by nature very compassionate. They're very compassionate. They care about the spiritual welfare of others. They feel the benefit of liberation. They feel the benefit of bhakti. And bhakti is unlimited. Love is unlimited in the spiritual world. So they want to share that with others. If you have a lot of something nice, then you should be generous and share it with others. So what did Prahlad ask for?
He said, Lord,
can you deliver my father? This is like incredible. The father's the one that was trying to kill him in so many ways because he was a Vaishnava. But Prahlad's thing, no, can you deliver my dad? We see that in not recent history, but 2,000 years ago. Jesus Christ, he's on the cross, and the nails are in his hands and his feet, and the guard has stabbed him in the side with a spear. And Jesus looks to the heavens and he says, my dear Lord, please forgive them, for they know not what they do. This is the ultimate compassion. It's hard to imagine. You forgive them, for they know not what they do, because they're in illusion. They're not in their normal state of mind, Krishna consciousness. So we see that in the character of all Vaishnavas. They want to go out and preach, distribute books, chant Hare Krishna, get the population purified so they can realize their beloved Lord is Sri Krishna. So Prahlad's a great inspiration for us. So then Lord Nrsimhadeva replied, your Pita is already delivered. Yes. With the strength of my hot claws, I've taken away all his material desires. Not only is your dad delivered, but 10 generations before you and 10 generations after you, they'll all be delivered. Such a unique pastime that the Lord comes out so angry. He takes everything away from the demons. And sometimes Lord takes everything away from his devotees. So they have no other recourse than to take shelter of the Lord. Just like in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna says to Maharaj Yudhishthira, it's famous, Yashaham anugrinami harisyeta dhanam shanai. The Lord told Maharaj Yudhishthira that his special favor shown to his devotee is that he takes everything away from that devotee's material opulence, so that devotee has no other recourse. Krishna, help! We say in Russian, Pamagi, Krishna Pamagi. You become fully dependent. Of course, it doesn't happen all the time. You don't have to worry. Because real renunciation means to use everything in Krishna's service. So if we learn this technique, you don't have to be worried. So that form of Nrsimha, just in the Silpa Shastras, where I have a deity like that. He's coming out of the pillar. He's very ferocious. When my godmother Guru Kripa, back in the 70s, he was the first one to find a Nrsimhadev deity. There were no Nrsimhadev deities in the beginning. And he was in India and he found a beautiful deity of Lakshmi Nrsimha. He came to Prabhupada in Mayapur. He said, Srila Prabhupada, can I worship this form of Narsimha? Prabhupada, you'd be very careful, because he's very angry. And if you make an offense when the Lord is angry, it could get a severe reaction. So be careful. So Guru Kripa was thinking, maybe I'm not going to worship him. So Prabhupada said, but you can worship Nrsimhadev along with Gaur-Nitai. Because Gaur-Nitai, they don't accept a devotee's offenses. They only accept their service. So don't abuse that, but that's how kind Mahaprabhu is. He doesn't see our offenses. He only sees our service. He's so kind. So therefore, Guru Kripa, he got 2 beautiful deities of Gaur-Nitai made him to this very day. He's worshipping that deity of Lakshmi Nrsimha along with Gaur-Nitai. So if any of you householders have a deity of Lakshmi Nrsimha, which is recommended for grihastas actually, make sure you have Gaur-Nitai or a photo of Gauri time. So Lakshmi Nrsimha is when the Lord is half angry and half pacified. He doesn't, not like that. He has a little grin and Lakshmi's there, cooling him down. So Lakshmi Nrsimha is for householders. And the Lord also appears, according to Silpa Shastra, as Yoga Nrsimha. I've seen many deities like that. There's a band around Nrsimhadev's legs, holding, of course, the brass deity, so the band is brass. And he's there. And this form of Yoga Nrsimha, or sometimes Santa Nrsimha, Santa means peaceful. There's no other, Lakshmi's not there, Prahlad says. This is for brahmacharis. Because when the Lord is peaceful, then the brahmacharis, by worshipping him, their senses become controlled and they're very peaceful. And thus the brahmachari can focus on spiritual life. So it's interesting science. Different forms of Narsimha according to where we're situated in devotional service. But this evening we're discussing Ugra Nrsimha, angry, his most terrible form. Where is that demon who offended his devotee? Because another wonderful feature of our Krishna, sometimes Prabhupada would say, our Krishna. I remember we were in Rome. He said, our Krishna. I went, oh, he's mine too? Because I'm serving Prabhupada. We're all serving Prabhupada. So he said, our Krishna. It was so sweet. It was so sweet. So when our Krishna is so amazing that he will tolerate offenses to himself, but he'll never tolerate offenses to his devotees. And that's the first offense in chanting the holy names. We want to avoid those offenses, to criticize those devotees who have dedicated their lives for preaching the glories of the Lord. There's the Hatimata, the mad elephant offense, to be very careful of that. So when the Lord appeared from the pillar, because Prahlad was being harassed, it's a whole class, all the different ways that Hiranyakashipu was trying to kill him, he immediately attacked Hiranyakashipu. Now, we read in the 7th canto how he came out of the pillar and he attacked Hiranyakashipu, but in the Nrsimha Purana, the Shiva Purana, the Nrsimha Purana, the Bhagavat Purana, our Bhagavatam, the Lord actually appears many times over and over and over and over in different ages, because the world goes through cycles. Satya, Treta, Dwapara, Kali. Satya, Treta, Dwapara. So in each of these ages, Krishna appears. Namantu Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. Because but for the Lord, no one can initiate a religion or a spiritual tradition that is applicable for the people of that age. Ages are different, so the processes are different. So, but each time the Lord comes and does this pastime of saving Prahlad, because it happens again and again and again, there's some minor details in the appearance. For in the Nrsimha Purana, I was reading there today, we know how Nrsimhadeva appeared from the pillar, but in one of his appearances, he appears from a flower pot. I read it in the Bhagavatam. It comes out of all places, a flower pot. And I was reading in another incarnation, Nrsimhadeva comes, walks in the room as a simple cat. And then he appears as half man, half lion. And I read another part of the Nrsimha Purana, because I like to worship Narsimha. He just walks into town. Hiranyakashipu's got his sword. Where is your Lord? Is he everywhere? Is he here? Yes. And then there's people all the time. Who's coming? There's half man and half. He just walks in the palace and the fight starts. And that particular time, which is right now, that's why I'm speaking. We could say many things about Nrsimhadeva. That 7th canto was one of Prabhupada's favorite parts of the Bhagavatam to speak from. There's so many lectures of Prabhupada from the 7th canto about Nrsimhadeva, about Prahlad Maharaj, about the process of devotional service. But we're focusing on the twilight. It's neither dark night nor day. This is when he appeared. This particular moment when the Lord appeared is described in detail in a book called Shubhashita Ratna Bhandagara, verse 15. It's an esoteric scripture, but it's bona fide. Shubhashita Ratna Bhandagara, text 15. And therein, it's so interesting because details, details are so important to attract us. They say love is in the details. So this is a loving pastime in its own way, but we hear Hiranyakashipu's last words. Would you like to hear his last words? Like, so it's that part, it's that particular era or kalpa or age when Nrsimhadeva walked into town. So when Hiranyakashipu saw his servant running to him in fear, Prahlad's there, the weapon, and then Hiranyakashipu, he sees his servant running to him in fear. And the servant says to Hiranyakashipu, Lord, a lion's coming. So Hiranyakashipu says, so what? A lion. The servant says, but my Lord, he's a lion with a human body. I've never seen such a strange creature. So Hiranyakashipu, he was very arrogant. He conquered the 14 worlds, the demigods. Narada Muni was his foot servant. So Hiranyakashipu says, if that's the case, bring him here. So the servant said, my master, he's coming on his own. So Hiranyakashipu, he gets a glimpse of this half man, half lion. And he says to his servant, oh, he's here. Give me my chapa. Chapa means bow. Run, get me my chapa. Quickly bring my chapa. Quickly bring. Ah! His nails. He didn't get his bow fast enough. And the only word that came out was, his nails! Those were the last words of Hiranyakashipu. Of course, he's talking about the Lord's nails. So. And the scripture says, may that Nrsimhadeva who thus tore the chest of Hiranyakashipu with his sharp nails protect you all. Lord Nrsimhadeva ki. Now, Baladev Vidyabhushana, in commentating on this pastime, he says that, this is interesting, Lord Nrsimhadeva's nails were actually a manifestation of his Sudarshan chakra. It's just a detail, but for Nrsimha Bhaktas, this is like Amrit. The nails are the expansion of the Sudarshan chakra. And we know the power of that Shishupal. So he concludes, because the nails were the manifestation of Krishna's Sudarshan chakra, he concludes, definitely Hiranyakashipu was delivered. So there's another very beautiful, powerful verse I found from the mouth of Hiranyakashipu as he realized the power of the Lord's nails as they tore out his heart and tore out his intestines. The intestines were just a victory garland. Like when, a senior devotee comes, we honor him with a garland. So the real thing is he took out the heart and liberated Hiranyakashipu. So no one was coming forth because he was so ferocious. So he said, I need a garland, a victory garland. So he took the intestines and, that's his garland. So he understood the power of those nails, the manifestation of Sudarshan. He understood. So in the Nrsimha Purana, chapter 45, text 30, these are the words coming from the mouth of Hiranyakashipu. Alas, my chest which is being pierced by Nrsimhadeva at this moment, is the same chest on which the teeth of Airavata, the elephant of Indra, were split into pieces. And the acute blow of Mahadev's axe was made blunt. It is rightly said that even a straw dishonors when destiny rejects. So little commentaries require that this saying that a straw dishonors when destiny rejects, it means that even something so simple as a straw can embarrass one if used to harm one or kill one as a result of destiny. We hear sometimes in Ramahans Sutta that pastime, he was killed with a straw. And Hiranyakashipu was relating in this way to the nails of Nrsimhadeva. Previously, even the teeth of Indra's elephant couldn't harm him. Indradev sent Airavata, go get this Hiranyakashipu. But even hit the teeth, they broke when he tried to bite the body of Hiranyakashipu. And even the axe of Shiva tried to attack him. Hit Hiranyakashipu with the axe, and the axe went blunt. Hiranyakashipu went, ha, 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 ha. Paraphrasing here. But in the end, the simple, so-called simple nails of the Lord did him in. But little did he know that those transcendental nails were going to be the cause of his liberation. Because the Lord's nails are so powerful, they can destroy one's material desires. And material desires are so strong, they don't disappear at death. When we die, this gross body is destroyed, but the subtle body, we understand from our philosophy, goes with you to your next birth. Your subtle body, your mind, it travels with you to your next birth. So therefore, by certain astrologers and psychics, they can understand what you were in your last life because how you're living, how you are right now. But that's a whole other lecture. But Lord's nails are so powerful, they can destroy those desires that even death can't destroy. So we pray. When we see Nrsimhadeva, we glorify his nails. Actually, the Agni Purana, chapter 31, verse 13 says, Om Hrim Shrom Tapta Hatake Keshnanta Jwalat Pavakalochana Brajadiknakash Parsha Divasimha Namostite. O Lord, the tips, anta, of your hair, kesha, are like glowing hot tapta, gold, hataka. O Lord, whose eyes, lochana, exhibit a burning jwalat, fire, pavaka. O Lord, the touch, sparsha, of whose nails, naka, are fiercer, adhika, than the thunderbolt of Indra, Bajra. O transcendental lion, Divasimha. I have one disciple, I give him the name, Divasimha. Another disciple, he was a real mild boy, in his teenage. Somehow I mixed up the names that morning, and he was very humble. He said, your name is Dwala Nishringa. Fire! That's okay. So, O transcendental lion, Divasimha, obeisances, namostate, to you, te. Beautiful verse. Om Hrim Shrom Tapta Hataka Keshanta Jvalat Bhagavakalochana Brajadikanakash Parsha Divasimha. I offer my obeisances, namostate. So Hiranyakashipu was delivered on the appearance day of Nrsimhadeva. So two amazing things happened on Nrsimhadeva's appearance day. It became Nrsimhadeva's appearance, and it became Hiranyakashipu's disappearance day. That's a big deal. So which one should we celebrate? We might naturally consider Lord Nrsimhadeva's appearance, but not necessarily. Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, in 1927, commenting on this day, he said, it's a little subtle, but I hope you can catch it. In Satya Yuga, Hiranyakashipu, more than Prahlad, by the adoption of the method of negative propaganda, proclaimed greatly the glory of Nrsimhadeva. More credit goes to Hiranyakashipu than Prahlad. That's eloquent English, but it translates that Hiranyakashipu's death at the hands of Nrsimhadev made Lord Nrsimhadev more famous than Prahlad's glorious pastimes with Nrsimha. In other words, the killing of Hiranyakashipu by the hands of the Lord was an act of extreme mercy and should be recognized and appreciated by all of humanity. Lord is so kind. Sometimes people say, what kind of God? People are suffering. How can there be God? But we actually see that our suffering, we cause our suffering, but He's coming every day, knocking on the door. Take up spiritual life. In this age, so simple. Just chant and dance to this song. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. So this is the moment, like in a symphony. The symphony builds up to crescendo, and you always finish on a high note. Da, 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 da. Or we finish, Hare Jaya Prabhupada, right? That's the crescendo. I came in, the crescendo. Jaya Prabhu. So this is our culture, the crescendo. So this is the crescendo of the day right now. This is when it all happens. So we should be deeply meditating on this particular pastime, this particular moment. So I'll leave you with the following verses to meditate on during our next kirtan, which we will dedicate to Lord Nrsimhadeva. We'll dedicate the kirtan to him. But these 5 verses, which I will now recite, which you've never heard before, have been recently translated by a great devotee scholar in Oxford, His Grace Gopinath Acharya Das. They're from a poem known as Sri Nrsimha Sataka, meaning a century in praise of Narsimha. And the poem was composed by a devotee called Gangadhara. He's a Vaishnava who, there wasn't much information on him, but he appeared somewhere in South India some centuries ago. And this poem is actually 103 verses. But I'll just read 5. And for anyone who has some affection for Nrsimha, because we all have affection for him, because he's, I'm my own worst enemy, there's that saying, because we maintain some material desires which are obstacles to pure devotion to Radha-shyam. So he's very kind, Nrsimha's in the heart, and he purifies us. And when we take up the mission of spreading Krishna consciousness in this materialistic society, sometimes there's friction, sometimes there's problems, but he protects his devotee. Ultimately, Bhaktivedanta Thakur wrote a poem in which he reveals the ultimate purpose that we worship Nrsimhadev. It goes something like this. He's appealing to Nrsimha, my dear Lord, I'm wallowing on the threshold of your palace, Nrsimhadev, praying to you, half man, half lion, please remove the obstacles on the path of pure devotion to Radha and Krishna. Ultimately, I want to go to Vrindavan and worship Radha and Krishna. You are so kind, you remove the obstacles on the path. Dear Lord, please remove these obstacles so I can develop pure bhakti for Radha-shyam and Vrindavan. That's the ultimate reason we worship Nrsimha Bhagavan. And he's so kind, he helps. So we want to meditate on him today. Right now, at this pristine moment of his appearance from the pillar as Ugra to protect his devotee, these 5 verses will give you food for thought, food for meditation. May they deepen your meditation on Lord Nrsimhadev's protective roar. Now this poet, poets are amazing people. They can take just a general piece of knowledge and present it in this way that attracts the heart. For example, it's said that, what is the use of a bowman's arrow unless it can pierce the heart of his enemy, right? What's the use of the arrow unless it can pierce the heart of the enemy? So what is the use of a poet's words unless they can melt the heart of his audience in bhakti and love? So this poet, he'll melt your heart in our meditation on Nrsimhadev now. And the English is very eloquent, actually. It's been translated by Gopinath Acharya, and so you have to listen carefully because it's high-grade English, because it's a high-grade subject. So here we go. This is what he wrote. With the howling hurricane of his thunderous roar rumbling through the confines of the cosmic shell of the universe, he heralds in all directions the tale of the vile tiger-like demons, rapid destruction as the bright comet of his lolling tongue furiously quivers over his cruelly curved fangs. May Nrsimha, who brings about Prahlad's bliss, swiftly incinerate my sins. Number 2, it harmonizes with the rhythmic clamor of the drum-like cosmic shell, keenly struck by an immense drumstick made of Mount Meru, as it rises from within the column of the audience chamber, hammered by a club in the clenched fist of India's irate foe. May Narahari's primeval cry, his roar, make the whole world prosperous. How does a roar bring prosperity? Because it destroys all negativity. We become prosperous in bhakti. Number 3, horrid with the crashing tree-like noise of the God-hater's arms, utter insanity, its murmur maiming the troops of the massive army massed in the grand courtyard of the demon king. May that roar, like the deafening sound of a key turning in the front door of the dreadful king of the dead, piercing all with his pealing harshness, quickly accomplish the impossible. A note, in Sanskrit text, the universe is said to be contained within Brahma's egg, Brahmananda, a hard, closed spherical shell that separates it from the divine realm that lies beyond in the abode of Yama, the god of death. So number 4, may Narsimha's roar instantly annihilate all hosts of sins. Its reverberation is the blissful prologue that hurries the feet of all heavenly ladies to the playhouse as it rumbles like kettle-like drums, proclaiming the most preposterous and supremely prominent sacred assault on the demon king, like thunder of twilight clouds, directing the direction elephants in the fine art of flapping their ears. It's pretty deep here. Number 5, blooming like the rumbling melodies of beautiful clouds which nimbly whip up waves, lauded by bees licking the ichor, means that comes from the elephant's heads, of the cardinal elephant's large earlobes. May the sound of the disc-bearing, lion-bodied lore, fairly furious with Sakra's foe, who quickly nullifies calamities with this nascent might, make all the cosmic wardens blessed. I told you it was deep, but I'll publish it and you can hear it later. I read it about 20 times and then I got it. Let's thank that poet with a big round of applause. To that Nrsimhadev, who is the protector of his devotees, we will offer this kirtan to his lotus feet. Lord Nrsimhadeva ki, Sri Prahlad Maharaj ki, Jai Gaur Premanandi.